why do I even start from The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. This book talks about the ups and downs, the trials and tribulations you face on your personal journey to find your personal legend. This right here, I'm holding the 25th edition of it. The first edition of this book was written in Portuguese. Even though this book is considered a work of fiction, the story of the author himself shows that it can be related in any walk of life, in any field, in anything that you're doing. You can relate or you can understand what it's about in this book. And then the author himself, when he wrote this first edition book in Portuguese, he it didn't catch on immediately as he thought. And it's not even like he wrote it for the hype or he wrote it for the fame or he wrote it for the money. He wrote it purposely because he wanted to speak his story, speak his truth, and that was his personal legend was to do that. So in this book here, I wrote a little bit of some things that is highlighted from the book. So this is from Paulo Coelho himself. So people continue to ask me if I knew The Alchemist would be such a huge success. Like, imagine how a book written in Portuguese is in my hand right now in English in Ghana, from Portugal to Ghana, sorry, from Brazil to Ghana. Imagine how influential or how impactful or how meaningful it might have been before it gets into my hand. Because it's not everything that travels outside the country's borders to get to an artist or anyone to get hold of. For me to have this book in my hand, it shows how influential it was. And his answer was that all he knew is that he wanted to write. I wanted to write about my quest to find my treasure. He wanted to write about his quest to find his treasure. So to him, The Alchemist is not about the sales. It's not about how many copies he makes. It's about to write to find his treasure. And he believed in it, even though the publishers didn't believe in it. Even though when he published the book, it didn't go as like normal books are supposed to go. The sales wasn't moving like that. He still believed in it. And as time went on, he found another publisher. Someone found his book and offered to link it to a publishing house. They translated it to English, started publishing in the US, Canada, UK, worldwide, and now 25 years down the line, this book is still impactful. It's been revised 25 times. Like, no wonder this book was one of the top selling books in the world. No wonder this book was a New York top seller book. No wonder. And I don't really want to spoil this book so much because so I don't want to spoil these books very much because it's really exciting to read and it's really engaging. And if you are someone who relates or someone who is also on their personal journey to find what they are good at, to find what they can do, to self-discover what's in their how to I even put this? Anyone who wants to be better than how they were yesterday, anyone who wants to become better, it's not a self-help, it's not those kind of books. It's totally different. But for real, you would know. Say a word to your wife is enough. That's how I feel about this book. But this is my second time reading it again. That's why I have this, my little black book. You'll be seeing it very often now. It's a diary I had, 2024 edition diary from a bank. It's given to me as a gift. So I started writing in it. So you'll be seeing more of it. And then I feel like after my first reading of The Alchemist, this is my second time reading it. And I am so this is my second time reading The Alchemist. My first time was so like the first experience reading The Alchemist, even though I knew about it. My friends told me about it. I had a cousin and she told me about this. book, The Alchemist. I didn't really research, I didn't really go deep about it. I've been seeing it online. I didn't also go into details about it. But there was this one time I was going to buy a book from the bookshop. Uh, I got two books. Let me find. Yeah, so I even had a EPUB edition of the book, like a digital version of the book on my phone. But still, I was not pursued to read it that much until I went to a bookshop to get this book and this book. So I bought two books, bro. So the two books I bought. You Are More Creative Than You Think You Are by Rude Jenkins and The Alchemist. So the two books I bought. I've been reading this too, so I'll talk about this some other time after The Alchemist. But The Alchemist, reading it was such a joy. Reading it was such an experience. Reading The Alchemist was so, it didn't even feel like reading. Felt like I was discovering myself through the writer's perspective, and I could see it from my point of view. I could see it from his perspective and from my point of view because he uses a fictional story to explain what it's talking about. This book has a fictional story in it, but you have to look at it through your non-fictional mind, through your own reality to find your own personal legend, to find your own treasure. Many are called, but few are chosen.